So let's see about the skeletal muscle mechanics. So we have in the mechanical properties of the skeletal muscles, we have force-length relationship and force-velocity relationship. So first we'll see about the force-length relationship, where the length here indicates the sarcomere length. So this is a graph which represents the individual muscle fiber, where the sarcomere length is taken in the x-axis and the force in the y-axis. So this length tension relationship has three limbs. They are the ascending limbs, plateau, and descending limbs. So ascending limbs, when the length increases, when the sarcomeric length increases slowly, the force production increases. Whereas at a particular length, that is say 2.2 to 2.5 micrometer of the sarcomere length, so the ability of the individual muscle fiber in that particular sarcomere length will be able to produce maximum force production. So that is the optimal sarcomere length, which shows that if you want to produce maximum force production, the sarcomere length should be in an optimal length. Whereas in the descending limb, again, as the length increases, the force production decreases. So if you see exactly in the optimal length area, where there are more opportunities or the more sites for the actin myosin bonding can happen at this optimal length of sarcomere, so that maximum force production can occur. Whereas in the shortening as well as in the lengthening muscle, the chances of binding of actin and the myosin sites are little lesser. Thus, reduces the amount of force production in those lengthened and the shortened position of a sarcomere length. So next is the force-velocity relationship. So here, this is the isometric force, where and the length is 0. So again, it has three parts. One is the isometric. This is the eccentric part, negative velocity, and this is the concentric part. So if you see here, as the velocity, especially the shortening velocity, we'll see the shortening velocity first. As the shortening velocity increases, it's from 0 to 100. As the shortening velocity increases, the amount of force production, this isometric force production, keeps decreasing. So the percentage of the isometric force keeps decreasing. That means during shortening, if the velocity is maximum or if the velocity keeps increasing, the force decreases. So that's showing an inverse relationship between the force velocity relationship during concentric or shortening contraction. So in isometric contraction, so the relationship between the force and the velocity is almost flat. Whereas in the eccentric contraction, as the velocity increases, negative velocity increases, as the lengthening velocity increases, there is an increased force production in the initial part. So the decrease in the force production during shortening contraction is probably because of, as the velocity increases during shortening contraction, the ability to bind, or the ability of the binding sites between the actin and the myosin decreases, so force production decreases. Whereas there is a flat relationship between the force-velocity relationship and isometric contraction. Whereas the increase in the force during the eccentric contraction is probably because of the excessive release of calcium, which increases the force production during the eccentric contraction. And also during eccentric contraction, once the muscle fiber, it gets lengthened, so it detaches faster, and then the chances of reattachment is more, which results in the force production, which results in the excessive force production. So this is what the force-velocity relationship is all about. Okay, so now coming to the Hills model, so you have the contractile element, all these protein myofilaments what are involved, which are helpful in the production of force production, and it includes elastic components, okay, which are spring-like structures. We have a series elastic component and a parallel elastic component. So series elastic component, which are in series with the contractile element, is the tendon, and the parallel elastic component, which are in parallel with the contractile element, is the connective tissue, which includes endomysium, epimysium, and perimysium. So force production depends on the interaction of all these contractile elements as well as these series and the parallel elastic components. So if you arrange the sarcomeres in series, So if there are large number of sarcomeres which are arranged in series, that shows that the length of the muscle fiber is quite longer with increase in the number of sarcomeres which are arranged in series. The muscle's ability to produce force may be less, but the muscle's ability to produce shortening contraction velocity will be more, because the length changes, it depends on the summation of length changes of all the sarcomeres. Whereas if the muscle fibers are arranged in parallel to each other, so the length changes or the velocity of contraction may be less if the muscle fibers, if the muscle sarcomeres are arranged in parallel, where the velocity of contraction may be less. That is, the shortening velocity of a particular muscle may be less, but the force production will be maximum because it is the summation of force production of all the sarcomeres. So that's how the architecture of the sarcomere is. It helps us to determine the shortening contraction velocity or the muscle force production. So the architecture of the muscle is very important in determining the force production as well as the shortening velocity of contraction. So now if you see the fiber length, if you compare the fiber length and the cross-sectional area, so if you see the maximum cross-sectional area is present in the soleus muscle, whereas the maximum fiber length is present in the sartorius. So now let's compare soleus versus sartorius. Soleus, the length of the muscle fiber is very minimal, whereas the cross-sectional area is quite large. Whereas the sartorius, the muscle fiber length is more and the cross-sectional area is very less. It's a small muscle, sartorius. So because of the longer fiber length, the ability of a shortened contraction velocity of the sartorius is more, whereas the force production is less. Whereas in soleus ability to produce a shortening contraction with a maximum shortening contraction velocity is very less, very minimal because of the decreased muscle fiber length. Whereas the maximal force production will be more because of the increase in the cross-sectional area. So thus we can differentiate the soleus from the sartorius. So that shows that muscles that tend to have larger cross-sectional area tend to have short muscle fiber. So for example, if you compare the quadriceps and the hamstrings, quadriceps have 31,000 sarcomeres which are in series, and then whereas in hamstrings 43,000 sarcomeres are in series. So the ability of shortening contraction velocity of hamstring is much more than the quads, but the quads can produce maximum force production comparing to the hamstrings. So thus the architecture of the sarcomere, their arrangement is very important in determining the force production and length changes, shortening velocity contraction. So if you compare dorsiflexus and plantar flexus, again there is a significant difference. The sarcomeres, 30,000 sarcomeres are present. That shows that the fiber length is maximum, whereas the plantar flexus only 15,000 are there. Dorsiflexus are weaker than the antagonist because they have a greater capacity of change in the length and the shortening velocity. So muscle fiber arrangements, you have fusiform fiber arrangement as in biceps, you have multipennate arrangements as includes medius and deltoid, you have longitudinal fiber arrangement as in abdominals, you have bipennate arrangement as in rectus femoris, and you have unipennate type of arrangement as in tibialis posterior. So these muscle fibers, especially these pennate muscles, are arranged at a particular angle. So the orientation of the muscle fascicle and the fiber are arranged at a particular angle with respect to the internal tendon or the aponeurosis. So the angle of pennation, so not only the length and the width of the architecture, what we have seen before, determines the mechanical properties of the soft tissues, but it also the arrangement of the muscle fascicles with respect to the internal tendon is important in determining the force production. So these are the examples: bipennate in rectus, parallel in sartorius, unipennate in dorsiflexa, and fusiform in biceps, convergent in pectorals, and circular in orbicularis oculi in oris, and multipennate in deltoid includes medius. So this angle with which these fibers. So for example, if you see in this picture, the hamstring muscle, the direction of the contractile force is here. So here, if you see pennate muscle, where the muscle fibers are arranged at a particular angle with respect to the internal tendon or the aponeurosis. So I said this angle of pennation is the architecture with this angle of pennation is an important, it provides or it contributes to the force production in a different way. How? So cross-sectional area, if you take, it is the cross-sectional area, which is the anatomical cross-sectional area. And if you see, if the fibers are arranged in longitudinally, the anatomical and the physiological cross-sectional area is similar. But if there is an angle of pennation of these muscle fascicles and the fibers with respect to the internal tendon, the anatomical area is different from the physiological cross-sectional area. So the function varies. So this quads and this hamstring, it have a different anatomical and the physiological. So the hamstring has a same anatomical and physiological cross-sectional area, whereas the quads, especially the rectus femoris, has a different anatomical and physiological cross-sectional area because of the angle of pennation. Okay, so now let's compare the pennation angle and the fiber to muscle length ratio. So again, if you compare the fiber to muscle length ratio, that is the length of the fiber, muscle fiber to the muscle length. So if you see here in gracilis, pectineus and sartorius, the fiber length is almost equal to the muscle length. It stretches the entire length of the muscle. Whereas in soleus, if you take, the fiber length is very short with respect to the muscle length ratio. So that indicates what? Probably there might be excessive angle of pennation. That's what the soleus angle of pennation is more, okay, due to which the fiber to muscle length ratio is very less. Whereas the angle of pennation for this gracilis, pectineus and sartorius is very less. So that means what? The fiber to muscle length ratio is more. So that's how we can compare the soleus and the gracilis, pectineus and sartorius. So if the pennation angle is least, that means what? They will have a fiber to muscle length ratio, maximum fiber to muscle length ratio. So what we have taken is the individual length tension relationship, okay, of a particular sarcomere. But here, as a whole muscle, if you take as a whole muscle, so we have active muscle force production as well as the passive force, as we have seen the passive elements also contributing to the total force. So the summation of active and the passive force contributes to the total force of the whole muscle.